I mean, I guess if I would ask you how much water, how many glasses of water, how many ounces of water are you drinking every day? Do you even know? You know, and so there's some telltale signs that you may have a hydration issue, that you may be dehydrated. Hello and welcome to the Intentional Leadership Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about something that seems really simple, but it's amazing how many entrepreneurs are just not doing it.
What is it?
Well, it's drinking water.
Oh, I have my glass.
You do, and you leave your glasses all over the house. So,
At least I drink water.
well, we're getting you to drink water now. So why don't you tell them what happened the other day, which you scared your wife a little bit.
I do that all the time.
Well, that's true. That's true. So this has to do with water.
Oh,
and
that
how
specifically?
it's really important.
Yeah, I didn't have any water. I probably didn't have anything to drink, maybe a cup of coffee in the morning. Mm-hmm. And around dinner time, I just couldn't really talk. I wasn't really coherent and couldn't put words together, and realized that, boy, wonder what's wrong.
Actually, I'm going to correct you, which never happens, I know, but you didn't realize it was going on at all.
I was fine.
So we were sitting at the dinner table, and yeah, we usually start our meals with a blessing, and so you typically do that for us. And you're saying this prayer, and you were talking so slow that if you would have talked any slower, you would have been going backwards. And you finished the prayer. It was just the oddest thing. And I kind of looked at you, and then we started eating, and then you started talking again, and you were literally slurring your words.
Yeah.
And I said, what is going on? What's wrong with you? And you're like, what? I'm fine. And anyway, I just got to thinking, I wonder if you've drank any water today. And then that's how we found it out.
So anyway, I drink plenty of water, just maybe not all the time.
So this was just one instance, and it was pretty shocking. Mm-hmm. How this happened. And I wonder if it's because we've been so in tune to drinking more water, and that then when you actually went so long without drinking it, that
I've been drinking this every day, at least, if not probably 2 of these a day for 3 months.
So for those who are listening and not watching, he was just holding up his gallon of water, which we've kind of started this practice because, as you know, what you track, what you measure improves. So as we did this health challenge, which many of you are aware that we started, one of the things that we began to track along with the food that we were putting in our bodies is how much water we were drinking. And I was doing pretty well. They had wanted us to be drinking, our coaches wanted us to be drinking at least 80 ounces of water a day.
For females.
For females.
120 for males.
Right. Actually, they were telling us, they just wanted all of us to be drinking at least 80.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, they said that no one, as we started tracking it, really was drinking enough water. And this was something that I'd become more intentional about over the last year or so, that I was doing pretty good to start, but now I'm definitely drinking a lot more as well. In fact, my process in order to help me do this, I actually fill up my water every morning. And I started doing that, and now it's just kind of a habit as part of my morning routine. I get up, brush my teeth, and before I get my coffee, one of the first things that I do is I fill up my water. I kind of do it as I'm making my coffee. It's in the same area, but I had these water jugs in the house, and for those of you who are listening and not watching, I've got 2 water bottles that actually are labeled, which is really nice, and you can get those that are labeled. So each one has 32 ounces in it, and I kind of like that rather than having a full gallon of water that I'm carrying around. So I have these 2, so together they add up to 64, and then I have another just a water bottle that I take with me everywhere I go, an Nalgene water bottle that I take in the car, and it has another 24 ounces in it. So as I'm kind of coming and going, I can refill this from the other ones throughout the day. And that gives me 88 ounces. So if I get through that, and often I'll drink more than that now, and it really helps me stay on track, because otherwise, without doing it, I wasn't really paying attention to how much water I'm drinking. And so it can be really helpful.
Good. So counting your water.
Counting water is one really good way to do it. So I guess that I was going into solutions already,
Right.
surprise, surprise, but let's talk about why water is so important. So let's talk about, as we've done our research and as our coaches, health coaches had talked with us about, let's share about why water is so important, because we talked a little bit about it on one of our podcasts not too long ago, and it's had such response that we thought we better talk a little bit more about it, because it seems to be like an important topic for you.
Right. You keep asking, so here you are. So the first one is just our bodies are made of water. We are made of water, so we need to replenish that every day. And we're using water for our brain functions, for everything we do. And one of the key things that I like is the endurance. And it just keeps us going. So it sustains us if we drink water.
Right. And for digestion, it's so important. Water really helps with your digestion. If you're not getting proper water intake, then it's harder for your food to digest throughout the day. So that's another benefit.
Well, and it's moving the nutrients. It's the liquid that's moving those nutrients around so that you're able to, after you do digest, your body can use those.
Right, right. It's just great for your overall well-being, like your mental ability to focus. I mean, one of the signs of not having enough water is you tend to get a little foggy. Things are, like you, when it happened, your speech slowed down, and so you're definitely not at your mental best if you're not well hydrated. So drinking water helps you be sharp mentally.
Right. And our organs, just like I said a minute ago, they need it to function. And so if we have water, our organs function more efficiently. They can process the good and the bad and keep our body moving.
Right. Water improves your sleep. Just being hydrated.
I wake up all the time without drinking this much. I don't know how that's improving my sleep.
Oh, well, that is something that we were warned when we started. And so we'll tell you, if you start drinking more water, you are going to find out that you get up and go to the bathroom a little bit more, but your body adapts to it.
It does. I actually don't really
No,
wake up
now it's not an issue.
At first, it was every 2 hours. It's like, sheesh, this isn't improving sleep at all.
Right.
So, but now, yeah, it probably took 30, 60 days, and then your body adapts.
Right.
So, let's see, what else? From a sports standpoint, if you're doing activities and you're burning up all this extra, you're elevating the heat in your body, then the water will cool your body and it'll slow your heart rate down.
That's good. That's good. It gets the oxygen flowing in your body, and especially adding in different types of water, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But just getting that water just gets everything flowing well in your body and just your system overall working.
Mm-hmm. So I think, what else?
Immunity. It improves your immunity.
Right. And why? I don't understand that, but maybe it's just flushing out the bad toxins?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's flushing out the toxins that shouldn't be there.
So if I drink more water, I'll never get sick?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case, but I think that it continues to improve your immunity along with other things that you do. I think when we're focusing on our health, we don't want to just focus on one thing, but water, as we said, is that really simple thing that you can do that doesn't really cost any or a lot of money to be able to be putting in your body, and it just has all of these health benefits to make you feel better, and immunity is one of them.
Okay. So we know what some of the benefits are. Can you drink too much?
Oh, yes, you can. Why don't you tell us how you drank too much? Because this guy drank too little, and then, it's either all or nothing. So then you drank too much because you were trying to do this challenge where you're going to drink at least a gallon of water a day, and kind of had this situation again where you forgot. And we're on the way to the airport, and what did you do?
So, well, I wanted to make sure I got my water. So anyway, hyponatremia is a real thing. I didn't get it, so it's fine. But that's the drinking of too much water. And so what we were doing is we were on our way from our hotel to the airport. We had 20 minutes, and I thought, I'm going to drink this water. First of all, I had spent like $1.99 on a gallon of water at a hotel, so I figured I should probably drink it anyway, so I can
Right.
save my $2.
Right. We didn't want to leave it behind.
I didn't want to leave it behind.
And you knew you couldn't take it through security.
So TSA would have said no, and so I thought, hey, I have to drink this. Let's drink it. So in the amount of time it took for the car to take us from the hotel to the airport, I drank 1 gallon of water in 20 minutes. What I learned is, A, your kidneys can only process 1 liter of water an hour. So I blew that up. And how I knew that it blew me up. My eyes hurt. I was sunken. I actually took a before and
Yeah,
after
you did
picture.
look well.
And if you look at
To
the
keep an eye
pictures,
on this guy.
I was physically ill. And when the car stopped, we got out of the car, and I'm bursting at the seams at a foreign country in a foreign airport, and I have to find a restroom, and my head hurt, my kidneys hurt, my stomach hurt, my eyeballs hurt. Oh, my whole body ached. So it's possible to drink too much water.
Right.
So I can do too much or too little. It's really, I just want to keep her on her toes.
Well, and the thing is you weren't drinking too much water. You were drinking too much water at a time. So let's repeat the statistic of how much water your body can process at a time. And what's the recommendation of how much water to drink?
Well, yeah, so it's 1 liter of water per hour for your kidneys to process effectively.
Okay.
Give or take.
Okay,
But
right.
that's
Right.
kind of the standard. That's what they suggest. So with that, don't shove a gallon in 20 minutes.
Right. So you're spreading your water throughout the day.
Right.
Yeah.
And, they suggest 11 and a half cups for women and 12 and a half for men. And that's from the U.S. National Academies of Science, Engineering, and
Right.
Nutrition.
Right.
And so that's kind of the daily recommendation.
Which is higher than what it used to be. I mean, I remember growing up, it always was you want to drink 8 glasses of water a day. And there are some that still say that's 64 ounces, that's adequate. But if you are especially in the health profession, and you're really have a high-paced living like you do, if you're a driven entrepreneur, that you want to be having more than that.
Well, and I was actually I was thinking about that, because if I drink 8 of these, that's almost 20 ounces in these little buggers.
You know,
so you don't
that's
even
true.
think about.
Right.
So I think really what the old days, what they meant was the small little cups.
Right,
And
which
now
is
these
8
are
ounces.
double, or at least at our house, they're
Yeah.
you know,
So this is like a probably 16-ounce glass or more
right.
than that.
A little
even?
more than 16. So they're 20 ounces. So if I drink a bunch of those, I'm good to go.
Right,
So,
right.
But so just be cognizant of it. I know that the popular thing right now are these 43-pound. I'm not even sure why they're allowed in security and TSA. The Stanley mugs, empty. They weigh more than what your carry-on should.
Right.
And
right.
you fill those things up, you do some arm curls, and if somebody attacks you, you smack them across the forehead. If you don't like somebody sleeping, you wake them up because they're snoring. I mean, they're a weapon. So
Yeah. Well, and I would say every 30-year-old out there is carrying one in their hands.
All our kids
20 and 30-year-olds. It's so funny. I went to a board meeting the other day where we have a lot of young executives on the team, and every single one, I had my Nalgene bottle, and every single one that was there had the big Stanley mug next to them, which is great. They're drinking their water. You know what? More power to you. I don't care how you get it down.
right.
Those things they're ginormous. They definitely can be used as weights too.
Right. It's a long way from the old Stanley my grandpa used to have and carry his coffee from Folgers in it and
Right.
drink it. But
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, you can have too much. You probably aren't drinking enough. And what are the signs of if you don't have enough water?
That's good, because you can look to yourself. I mean, I guess if I would ask you how much water, how many glasses of water, how many ounces of water are you drinking every day? Do you even know? And so there's some telltale signs that you may have a hydration issue, that you may be dehydrated. And one of those we talked about, that you're just that you had this, that you're just feeling kind of foggy and you're not really feeling well. This can obviously be too much or too little water, but obviously the dehydration. dehydration is just feeling some weakness, that you have some fatigue. So if you have a lot of fatigue during the day, it may be that you're not getting enough water to drink. Another symptom is when you're urinating. I mean, look in the toilet after you go to the bathroom. I remember going to my doctor's office the other day, and they actually, in their bathrooms, have a sign right above the toilet, and it said, "What color is your urine?" And it is, or something about, what color is your urine and is it healthy? And it actually had this chart of what color your urine should be. And if you're getting into that deep yellow, gold color, that it's not healthy, and you actually want it to be really light color. There shouldn't be a lot of color to it. Otherwise, you're not getting enough water.
Did it have too light too then? I mean, was there like on the gradient scale?
No, there really wasn't.
Okay.
It was that you want it to be pretty on the see-through side, and because it's your kidneys that are showing you that. And I know, I mean, my dad on an extreme on the other side who had kidney disease, and it just wasn't really working properly at all. It was super dark. And so that's a sign of certainly dehydration and other health issues that you want to be aware of.
Right.
Are there other symptoms?
Yeah, white
that I
tongue.
think of? Oh,
Yeah. If you have a white tongue, it shows that there's potentially not enough water in your system. So you want to just go look in the mirror and
right.
do a quick check.
Right.
You know, and let's see, what else? Dizziness, fatigue, tiredness, sluggish. And again, back to sports.
Yeah, lack of energy.
Lack of energy. You know, it's March, so, you know, basketball, you're in the fourth quarter after playing back-to-back games, you need to make sure you get enough water, or you're not going to have enough energy to get through the final part of the game.
Right, so you're lacking endurance. That could be a sign of not getting enough water.
Yeah.
That's good. So let's talk about some ways, some strategies, some success habits. We're all about, in our Success Life Mastermind, helping entrepreneurs develop success habits, just those automatic behaviors that are good for you, that help you lead a better life. And one of these is learning how to drink water and having that as part of your regular rhythm. So let's talk about some success habits, things that you can put in place right now that can help you stay hydrated.
Okay. I think the first really important one is leave an empty glass wherever you go in the house.
Well, I think you do that a lot. So I guess the success habit is always have water with you. Right. Always have water with you. Right. You know, we learned this, I think, not here in Washington where we live, but when we traveled to Arizona, which, if any of you live in Arizona or have been there, a very, very dry climate, beautiful area. But you really learn there that you just don't go anywhere without water, because you don't want to have something that your car break down or anything like that. It's hot, it's dry. And so you notice that you need more water there to make up for that. So just creating the habit that you're carrying water with you every day, everywhere you go. So like the Stanley Cup, if you've got one of those, fill that up, or the water bottles like we do, and just have it with you, have it at your desk.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was because everybody's old and they're trying to get rid of the wrinkles, but maybe not in Arizona. That's what it is, dehydration.
I'm not even going to answer that. All right, we're going to move on. So, a habit that actually a colleague had shared with client, and colleague from a number of years ago who was in our entrepreneur group, we were talking about health habits and health hacks. And he had said that every morning when he got up, he drank a full glass of water. Mm-hmm. And I incorporated that then, and I've done it ever since. And it's really great because, first of all, you're ready after being in bed for several hours over the night. You haven't had any water. Your body's ready for some hydration. So having that big glass of water when you get up in the morning. So I typically have one in the bathroom, and I drink that every single morning when I get up. Mm-hmm. And now that's just something that I naturally do.
That's good. Yeah. And I do it sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I found that actually one of my hacks is when I'm making the coffee in the morning, if I just fill up the pitcher that I was going to make coffee and drink that first, then pour a second cup of, or
Oh,
pile
I
of
like that.
water, and then I get my coffee and my water. But
I like that. And we already talked about, so I'll say it again, just filling up your water portions in the morning so that you have all of the water that you're going to drink for the day. And going along with that, measure your water intake. You don't have to do this all the time, but would really encourage you that a wonderful habit to start right now is start tracking your water and see if you're getting enough water. Are you getting at least 80 ounces or more a day? And talk with your doctor if you haven't, or if you've got a health coach, talk with them. But look at how much water you're drinking now, and then make a commitment to track it, at least for a while, and that makes a difference.
yeah, and I think what we've done is both with what my Fitness Pal, I'll check a box. You apparently have it differently than mine, but mine, I just check it every time I have a glass of water, or 2 glasses, or whatever it is.
So use an app.
So I use an app. Before we were doing that, every once in a while, we'd randomly grab a piece of paper, put it in our notebook for the day, and
Right.
your journal, and
Right.
keep track that way.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
somehow you have to just track it for a little while, and it doesn't, do it for 2 or 3 days is all, and you go, whoa,
Right.
I'm good or I'm bad.
Right.
Because that should probably be enough to tell you.
And if you talk with a health professional about for what your needs are, how much you're working out, what kind of work schedule you have, any health conditions, how much water you should be drinking every day, and then just make that a habit by setting that out in the morning so that you make sure that you do it. Then you really don't have to track beyond that, because you've got your full bottles, and by the end of the day, they need to be empty. So pretty simple,
Right.
really.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Oh yeah, definitely. When traveling, always take an empty Nalgene bottle with you. I mean, this is just, we talked about taking water with you wherever you go. Well, when you're traveling through the airport, obviously you can't take your water through the airport, but have a bottle, an empty bottle that you take through. And now what's really nice is that most all airports around the world have a place where you can fill up with filtered water. So rather than having to buy it at the airport in plastic bottles, you're taking your own bottle with you, and then you just have that wherever you go. So these aren't just habits for home. You can, with travel, being able to do that too.
That's
Yeah.
good. I don't do that very well. And you have to drink more when you travel too. That's something we forgot.
Oh, good point.
If you're in the airplane dehydrates you, you need to drink
True.
extra water while you do that. So ask them for 2 glasses when they say, what can we get you to drink? And bring your own as well.
Right. Now that's a good idea. And then adding water in, especially if you're drinking dehydrating beverages like coffee, or if you're going out with friends and having cocktails, or wine is very dehydrating, have a glass of water and your cocktail. So, or a cocktail and then a glass of water and then a cocktail, or whatever. Don't have too many cocktails. You can have as much water as you'd like. But that's just something that's a good idea, and then that helps keep you hydrated when there's something that you're doing that is naturally dehydrating to the body, like alcohol.
Yeah, good.
Anything else?
I was just thinking, what's good water?
Oh, let's talk
What
a little bit
types of
about
water?
that. This is really an interesting issue that's kind of a hot topic out there in the health world today, is water. In fact, we have a colleague that actually has a water podcast. We'll have to get that information so that we can share it, because it's really interesting. But she actually, just quickly, her story, that she was drinking water every day, but she was not drinking water with any minerals in it. It was I believe it was just purified water. So it didn't have anything in it. And she was getting really sick. And she ended up finding out that she wasn't getting the nutrients that just good regular water gives you, and filtered water, obviously. But she was just drinking that pure water, getting bottled water that didn't have anything in it, and thought she was doing really well for herself because she was drinking her water, but she was getting sick and ended up going to the doctor, and it was because she wasn't getting the nutrients from the water. So making sure that you are actually drinking spring water that has the nutrients in it that you need, that has those benefits.
Right. Yeah, we can run down. You could do a whole podcast on it. You could do a series of podcasts. It's controversial, what's good, what's bad. But, the bottom line is, if you drink water that's the best. First of all, it doesn't matter what, within reason, what the source is.
Right.
And if you're living in the U.S. and, well, North America, Central, primarily the water, whether it has a little more chlorine or a little less or a little different smell or a different time, by and large, tap water is fine. Then, but if you were going to look at different waters kind of on a scale, spring water has more nutrients. It has more
Right.
potassium, magnesium, bicarbonate. And then the mineral water would be the next one, where it's, the spring water, but they potentially have added a little bit of extra minerals for you.
Right.
And so that would be the second one. And then distilled water, which is they take the water out of the tap, they boil it, and then now you have every clean water. There's probably not much left in it. I think of distilled water as what you use in a car battery, so I don't
Right.
really think of that as a positive for me.
No, I agree. And then there's alkaline water, and we drink some of that. You actually
Yep.
drink more than I do, and the alkaline water
Did you
just
hear
as
that? I drink more than she does.
of the alkaline water.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
Right. Anyway, but well, you should. You're a little bit larger than me. You should have a little bit more water, I would think, but maybe not. Anyway, the alkaline water, this has been interesting, and we actually use a Tient ionizing, am I saying that right? Ionizing system. And we had done a lot of research on it before we bought the system, and just really looking at the benefits of alkaline water, which just really gets the oxygen moving better in your body. And it's really interesting as you actually look at lab results, like from blood work, when someone is dehydrated versus getting enough water versus getting alkaline water. And it's really quite amazing when you look at the research on it. So they actually, the doctor who was doing the study had a woman not drink any water. She sat down, they pricked her finger to be able to test her blood, and it was able to show her without any water. And it just kind of showed the cells in her body. They weren't really moving. They're just kind of sitting there. I mean, it looked fine, but there wasn't a lot of life in the cells. And then they had her drink a bottle of spring water, just a bottled water that you would pick up at the grocery store. And they had her drink a full bottle of water and waited, I think, about 30 minutes. And then they did another blood test. And this time it showed the cells in her system were looking lively. They were bouncing around a little bit. It was obviously looking healthy, like things were moving around. And then they had her drink alkaline water, so a higher pH water, and did the same thing. Then waited about 30 minutes and took her blood test again. And the oxygen, you could just see how the body getting this alkaline water and what it did to the cells. And it was just pretty incredible how it really started moving things in the body. And that's what you want your hydration to do. You want it to be moving, getting your body activated in your system. And so it was pretty amazing, the results. And we have seen a difference adding in the alkaline water, and we've talked to others who it's made a difference for. And so we use it quite a bit. When we're traveling, we'll purchase it, but when we're here, we just have it hooked up to our own water system. And I'm typically, like I said, when I'm filling up these bottles each day, I have one with a pure water, and then I just have an A written on the top of the other one. This is my alkaline water, and I'll just fill up one jug with alkaline and one jug with regular.
I
And
always wondered what it was.
yeah, that's what that stands for. So yeah, the only caveat with that is we've heard, and I've actually witnessed it, which is why I don't drink all alkaline water, is we've been told that just regular tap water or spring water is better for when you're digesting pills and things like that. And then also if you have any particular stomach issues, gut issues, if you have a sensitive tummy, sometimes having too much of the alkaline water or too high of a pH can make your stomach feel upset. Because
Right.
we know a colleague who was drinking too much of the alkaline water and found that happening.
Yeah, most of us have an acidic stomach, and so the alkaline's bringing it back down and kind of neutralizing, I guess, for lack of a better
Exactly.
pH. And so that's what helps. So some of you out there actually may need, a little bit different. But for the most part, if you drink 8+ alkalinity in your in your water, and you buy it on the shelf, and they all say 9 plus, 11, 12, whatever it is. But if you get that in your system and do that, I'm not quite as structured as you probably figured out as her. I just use those glasses that I lay around the house, and I know that those are my alkaline waters for the most part. And then I just drink this big jug to get me my 120 gallons. So alkaline water, we talked about that. What else? What is it that, should we add anything to our water?
Well, I don't think that you have to. I don't think you have to get hung up on adding something, but you certainly can. And I know that I always put a little bit of fresh lemon into my water because I like the taste of it. And it's also a detoxifier, which is great. And something else that's really healthy for you to add is just a little pinch of salt, of good, healthy sea salt.
Peruvian salt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that would be good. And that just makes a difference, especially if, as we were talking about earlier in the podcast, if you have bottled water that may be missing the nutrients that it needs, if it's been completely filtered out, just adding a little bit of salt, a little bit of lemon can be helpful. And just having something in there like that just tells your body as it's going down, oh, this is something that I need to process.
Right.
Makes a difference.
The only thing I would add is I like to add electrolytes. One, I get bored with the flavor of water, like she had mentioned. And so I can go pick, I don't know, I probably have 4 or 5 flavors and mix it up. Also, it adds a little bit of caffeine on a couple of them. So if I'm getting a workout in, I want a little bit of a jolt, I can do that. But the nice thing with the electrolytes is you're adding those to the system so that if you are exercising, that it helps.
Right. You do that a lot when you're hiking on hikes. That's good.
Yeah.
You'll replenish those reserves that are being lost. That makes good sense.
So today we've talked about water and hydration. What are the benefits? What are some mistakes you can do, like drinking too much or not enough?
Right.
And what are good types of water we kind of touched on.
Yes, and just that this is such a simple thing that many of us and many entrepreneurs just don't do for their health. So if you're looking to really improve your health this year, you can improve your health with this one simple thing. So add this to your success habits. Drink more water.